here's your heads up. Don't you just love those affirmations that go, I am happy, I am happy. I don't. I hate them with a vengeance. But I do know what does work, or what does works. So if you'd like to know what does work, have a listen after this. Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. So pleased you're here. Your time is valuable and precious. So what I would like to do is fill that time that you share with me with the most shiny golden nuggets to help improve your life, to get your goals, your wishes, your dreams to come to fruition quicker, bigger, better than you could ever imagine, using your imagination, using hypnosis, using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all of that, using all things of the mind. No brain hacks, but real solid processes to deconstruct what people do to become great. And then find the processes that we can install that in ourselves to support you in your dreams and get what you really want in life. Anyway, who am I? I'm Paul Clough, and just going to have conversations with you in this podcast and get you thinking, but also share those processes because we're going to have so much fun. That's it. We're going to have fun for a change because we can sit down for a spell and have more fun than we can stand, creating the world we want to live in and be the person we want to be in that world. The only limitation is your imagination. And you got bucket loads, by the way, bucket loads. Have a listen. You really must.
Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, the longer podcast where I want to talk. Well, I have some thoughts on the wonderful world of affirmations. You know, those things where you say to yourself, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy, or anything like that. And then you wonder why it doesn't work. Because to me, those affirmations just do not work. They really don't. And before I got into this, I wanted to know what an affirmation really is. What is the definition of an affirmation? And what I found is you're affirming what is to be true, or what is true. Affirming what is true. Well, if you're down and you're saying, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, that goes against that straight away, doesn't it? And the other thing what it does is, if you notice, your unconscious mind isn't that daft. It's doing something for a reason. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling any emotion whatsoever, your unconscious mind is doing that for a perfectly valid reason, a positive reason, a positive intention. Might not feel so good, but the intention is there. And if you start to say things which are completely in direct conflict with that, you're just going to end up with creating a conflict in yourself. And that's why I don't like affirmations. Not that type anyway. And the thing is, I was listening the other day to someone, and they were saying that we use affirmations all the time. And I thought to myself, no, you don't. And then they said to me, yes, you do. Well, they didn't say it, but in my head they did, because they explained. And it's so true. Everything we say to ourselves is like an affirmation, whether it's true or not. We think it's true. You know, I'm so stupid. That's an affirmation, isn't it? You're affirming something that's true. You think it at the moment. And your unconscious mind is going to take that because you're feeling stupid and you're calling yourself stupid, maybe. Or the things we hear being said, not just our own little internal voice, but maybe on the radio, the TV, what we read. And we connect to them and feel that it's true. Therefore, we are affirming. And we take those emotions. Oh, I'm angry. No, you're choosing to have that emotion, but you're affirming it. I am, identity level beliefs. Woo. Not so good. So it's a natural phenomena. And it works, positively or negative, because if you're feeling good and you talk to yourself in a good way and you believe you can do something, you can bloody well can't you? You can achieve basically anything you put your mind to because you are affirming what inside is to be true. But the thing is, if this is a natural thing, and most of the time we tend to talk about the negative here, don't we? The positives tend to take care of themselves, but the negatives, well, they tend to jump out at us. If I said to you, think of 4 happy times, 4 happy memories, you'd probably get the first one, and then you'd think of, where's the second one? And a third, oh, bloody hell, where's the third one? But if I said to you, can you name 10 negative times in your life, 10 negative memories, you could rattle those off. No problem. Because what we do, those negative ones are more, in some ways, more significant in their emotional charge, aren't they? And they tend to be there because we haven't learned from them, which is why we can remember them with that negative emotion still attached to it. It's there to be learnt by. Because when we learn by them, you try finding that memory again. It's a distant memory in the past, which is the one good thing. Is why, when you do personal development in this way or you do therapy work, you are learning from the past. The past doesn't exist, but the memories are there from the past. Things have gone by. And if you can learn from them, the charge of that negative energy, as it were, the negative beliefs, the limiting beliefs, the negative emotions and those not so good behaviors tend to disappear from your life because now you start to use the learnings. So how do we stop this? How do we use this phenomena to make it not into a conflict, but change it? Because if you're saying to yourself things like, oh, I'm so stupid, that's not true, is it? But it feels true at the time. But if we intellectually look at it from the outside, looking in and go, well, actually, you were behaving a little stupid, a little bit daft. But that's not who you are. You were just reacting. So here's the thing. What do? Well, the best thing to do, the very, very best thing to do is catch yourself in the moment. If you could catch yourself in the moment when you're doing something absolutely bonky, or something good, by the way. But if you're doing something really bonky that's not very good, not that appropriate, or wouldn't be if you look back at it and go, oh, why did I say that? If you can catch that in the moment and just acknowledge it, don't accept it. We don't accept these type of things because acceptance to me seems to make them, well, acceptable. And they're not. It's just what you're doing at the moment. So we just acknowledge at this moment, I'm feeling the emotion of anger or jealousy or frustration or sadness or depression. That's what you're doing. You are just accessing that emotion, those behaviors, those thoughts. So just acknowledge it. Don't do anything with it. Because when you notice it, you can then start asking questions. You can start saying, well, what's the intention of this? What's this thing trying to do for me? Because anger could be like a protection thing, couldn't it? Protect you from being hurt. Puts that barrier up in the way, doesn't it? Stops people seeing the real you. There's a protection measure there somewhere. Sadness keeps you away from things and also makes sure that you maybe don't forget things. Guilt is the same thing, isn't it? It's there until you remember that you've got a better strategy so you can use your learnings and you don't feel guilty anymore. So you could just have a think. What's the bloody intention of this thing that's going on right now? And it's generally going to be around some form of safety or keeping you comfortable, keeping you away from a negative emotion. It tends to be the thing that you really are expressing sometimes. And then you just say to yourself, okay, even if you don't get the real intention, you can have a guess. If I did know, I wonder what it is. Those type of questions. Just ask yourself, well, this doesn't feel good. Therefore, I want to keep that intention, but how can I get it another way? And I'm sure there's more than one other way to keep this intention intact, to make me feel comfortable, to make me able to keep me away from negative feelings and negative emotions, but get in a way that I feel comfortable. Because if I'm comfortable, I'm safe. And probably I'm a little bit safer than, if you're angry, you get that foveal vision where everything just focuses down onto one thing. You don't see anything around you. You don't hear anything other than your voice sometimes. Everything just gets into that one little bit of focus and you miss everything that's going on that would just change things. So if you just open your awareness, become aware of more things, you'll be able to access more skills, more learnings, and deal with the situation better. Because remember, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Wayne Dyer. I don't know where he got it from. It's where I got it from. And then when you get that sort of learning and even say, well, that's your unconscious mind, well, how can I remember this? How can I remember these new ways, put them into practice? What would happen in the future if it happened again? And I did it in a way that made me comfortable. Now, you can write these down, by the way. Because the other thing is, if you can't catch it at the moment, which is the ultimate best time, maybe you're sitting at home with your old beer, your G&T, your cup of tea, your glass of wine, or water, whatever it is you have. You sit there and go, that wasn't such a good time this afternoon. I wonder what was going on. Because now you are actually looking at it from a different perspective, aren't you? You're looking back in on yourself. You're changing the way you're looking at things. And as I say, when you change the way you look at things, what you look at changes. And you can maybe read that situation differently. You can notice what the truth is, what's really happening. Even from here, you could probably see 2 or 3 different ways that you could have been. How could you have been different and feel good about yourself? Make amends, learn. And just doing that, maybe just, I say, writing them down, because when you write them down, they're always there. And it's like sharing it with somebody else without telling anybody else. It's like having a conversation, but when you write it down, you have to think. Think about what you want to say. So it makes it clearer. I mean, sometimes you might just want to think, well, what belief do I have about myself? And what would be a better belief? If I could have a belief that really would be empowering to me, what would that be? I mean, you can think sometimes. Remember, we do it, but we very rarely do it in reverse. We don't think of the good times and go, what was the intention? What was I thinking? Because we're just in those good times. If you don't feel frightened, you don't feel scared, you don't feel unsafe, or you don't feel safe rather, then you don't notice it because you're in the moment. So again, when you look back, you can say, I wonder what I was believing about myself way back then. What must I have believed about myself? Because it was positive. It felt good. I wonder what type of skills I was accessing. Was it awareness? Was it getting a connection with somebody? Was I using my words in such a better way? What type of emotion was I having? Not just feeling happy, happy, happy. I wonder what I was really thinking, really feeling. Because again, you were saying to your unconscious mind, look, there's different ways. What would happen if I used the emotions, behaviors, beliefs in that good experience in one of those negative experiences? It's got to be different, hasn't it? Got to be better. Has to be. So you see, all of this would tell me that affirmations don't work. Well, they do work. They work very well in the way that if you affirm something which you think is true, like I'm a dopey twit and things like that, and how I'm so stupid, then yeah, of course they work because things get worse, don't they? But similarly, if you say you're okay, I'll get through this, they work. But only if it doesn't create a conflict where you are affirming things which are true. Now, I love to change this. I want to suggest you change it into, if you want to write down affirmations, don't write down the things that you know aren't true, where it says, I am. But you can change them into things, well, maybe I'm not being at the best time at the moment. That's acknowledgement of your behaviors. I'm not really being the best me that I could be. So what could I affirm about that? Well, one of the affirmations could be, I strive to be my best. I don't like the word try, but even try. I try to be my best all the time. Because you do, even though you fall down, you try and strive your best to get back up again. Things like this too shall pass. Because that's the truth, isn't it? That really is the truth, because these things do pass. If you think of the times in the past when you had real shit shows going on, and you thought right in the middle of it, oh, this won't pass. Oh, I can't see a way out. And yet here you are now looking back at it, going, oh yeah, it did pass, didn't it? Because I'm here. So this too shall pass. And that makes it true. You are affirming the truth, and it feels better because you're aligned with that. Maybe if you thought about your values, the things that are important to you, maybe it's being caring, kind, truthful. You just have to say to me, I am that because you are. That's a true highest value of you. So that's who you are, because beliefs and values are so close to your identity. And you're starting with I am. So you're actually saying this is your identity. And then your unconscious mind can strive to carry on living to those values. And when you do, things are going to get so much better. And then we can be the best version of ourselves right now. But then I thought, even if you didn't really know all your values, you could just actually say to yourself, I know my values are good, even though I can't write them down straight away. But I can strive to live my highest values. I strive to live my highest values. Again, you're affirming what is true. You're setting your intention, aren't you? Because every time I say I strive, that's your intention, isn't it? And even when you think about that, what type of emotions would you have to strive to be your best, to strive to live to your highest values? What belief would you have to have? What behaviors? And when you think about that, they're all aligned with that. So you're affirming what is true. But then I thought, here's a thing that contradicts that. Well, I thought it did. Because when you're setting a goal and you go to goal setting workshops, have you been to one? I've been to a few. And even if you read it in a book and what have you, it always says, state your goal. Number one, state your goal, which is, I know it's pretty obvious, hiding in plain sight. But some people don't. They don't define their goal with true specificity. But the thing about it is, they always say, state it as if you have the goal right now. I am now earning this much money. And I'm thinking to myself, if that's an affirmation, you're affirming what is not true. Therefore, you're going to set up a conflict. But I thought, no, Cluffy. Just think a little further on in this process. Because in getting into specificity, stating as if you have the goal right now, it enables you, especially when you write it down, is to notice what it would feel like as if you had it right now. Because you have to think, this is my ultimate goal. This is my goal for this particular thing. And it is, I am now earning X amount of money. So what would it feel like to earn X amount of money? Well, it would feel like this. And what would happen? What would the consequences be? And you go, it would be, I'd have this and I'd do that. And then I'd have to make sure that this is okay. And you go, do you know what? This is exactly what I want. And then it's called the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do you remember that one? Because it's your aim in mind. And you've made sure that aim in mind is exactly the way you want it to be. Because if you didn't go to it in your mind and feel it, it might not be exactly what you want. You might get there and go, oh, is that it? Now, we've all had those. I've had a big one. Now, I've talked about it before where I set this particular goal and I thought I really wanted it, but I never really tried it on. And then I got the opportunity to get it. And I thought, well, this must be it because this is the goal I've written down before, but never tried it on, but this must be it. So I entered into that goal. And it was the worst thing I'd ever done because it wasn't what I wanted. I didn't realize until I got it. You hear about people who want to be stars, want to be famous. But do they realize they're going to lose friends? They're not going to be maybe a master of their own destiny, even their own diary, because everything is taken away from them. They just have to perform. Now, some people are cool with that. They make adjustments. Other people, well, there's some dire consequences to some people who become that famous because they don't realize they lose their friends. And they lose their real friends and they gain people who maybe not their friends. So it's that acting as if now from a goal that you realize that's what you want. Then you let it go, but you have that feeling of the wish fulfilled. Now you know what you're going to strive for. And if you think about that emotion, think about acting as if now, what would it feel like, the feeling of the wish fulfilled? When you affirm, this is what I want, this is what I'm striving for, this is what I'm going for, then again, you're affirming what is true. And your unconscious mind gets it. To me, I think it really gets it, because you're now communicating with your unconscious mind, not just with your verbals, your internal voice, your external voice, but you're also communicating with the pictures in your mind and the feelings, the emotions. When you get all that, that is true communication. And your unconscious mind goes, okay, now I know where we're going. I know how you want to feel. I know what you want to see. I know what you want to hear. I know who you want to have this goal with. And now we're aligned. The old word congruent comes into it, doesn't it? We're aligned and congruent. And that's when things like serendipity just magically turn up. Things just tend to happen. And that's when the affirmations really work, I think, because you're affirming through a true belief of what you want. There's no conflict there. So yeah, bonky affirmations don't work. But affirmations, which are truly aligned to what you really want, what you truly believe in, I think, well, you just get them. And when you really do this, and I want to say things like writing it down and thinking about it often, because what you think about most of the time, you get, whether you want it or not. Whether you do want this. So think about it most of the time. And that's, as I say, when serendipity or coincidence comes knocking at your door, and you tend to see the opportunities or the people that come along to help you get that goal. So there you go. That's just a little rumination of the bonkiness of affirmation. So if you get a bonky affirmation, the more you write it, the more you're sitting down with that conflict in mind. But once you take a little bit of time of what you want, then you can understand. And even when things are going wrong, you can decide what you want. And then you can affirm what is true to you, what you want. So not what you don't want. So I don't like this feeling, I don't like this emotion, I don't like this behavior. Because your unconscious mind doesn't get that I don't like. It just gets that feeling because you're communicating with words, pictures, and emotions. But start to think when we go to that acknowledgement and find out, well, this is what's happening. How can I get it another way? How would it be another way? This is what I want. So you're really setting up that goal in mind without knowing it's the goal. You're just setting out that lovely picture in your mind that gives you those wonderful feelings. So it would be really good just to sometimes take a few moments each day. I know it's bloody difficult to take, a minute out of each day. Maybe a minute out of every morning, and afternoon, and evening. That's a whole 3 minutes a day, isn't it? Jesus, that's a lot. But if you did, and I'm guilty as everyone else for maybe letting these slip by, and this is what this podcast does for me, it reminds me. It says, Cluffy, start doing what you know. If we did that just 3 minutes a day, I think you'd be amazed what would happen at the end of a week, at the end of a fortnight, at the end of a month. If you look back to review, you'd go, damn, that Cluffy was right. Wouldn't that be good? I hope that's going to inspire you just a little bit to use affirmations, but not the bonky ones. And if you hear yourself saying a bonky one, just tell yourself to quiet and think of something better that he swore then. So here you go. Please, if you like that, I'd love your feedback. If you think of something you'd like to add to it, to let me know, or something you do add to it, let me know. If you think bonky affirmations are really good affirmations, let me know. But let me know how you use affirmations. That would be awesome, because then I can share it with other people. So that's feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's the email address. Send it to me and we can share it along with everyone else. And talking of sharing, my friend, it really does help if you could just share this podcast with everyone you know. I know you're going to say, oh, Cluffy, you do that every episode. And that's it. I'd love you to share every episode to somebody else. So they get to get it too. And then they share it with other people, and they share it with other people. And it's like, pay it forward. Then we get great changes happening in this world. Great changes in your life and the people in it. And that's what we want for everyone, don't we? the good life, where people can have more fun than they can stand. There you go. And then also you can enjoy every heartbeat. And I think we've said that enough now. So until next time, my friend, it's Paul Clough, Personal Development Unplugged, because now it is time to fly.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.